Welcome everybody. So my name is Claire Stover, and I've been a member of PVA for 25-ish years or so. And I got involved with the Grand Canyon Star Party back in 2018. I retired at the end of 2017, and we had been out doing some railroad stuff in Colorado, and went to see Lud Trospect, who also a long-term member of PVAA. And he was kind of busy because he was packing up to go to the Grand Canyon Star Party for the first time. And so he and my husband got together and did one of those "take my wife, please" kind of things. And he said, well, you don't have to come home now. You don't have a job to go back to. So why don't you go with him to the Star Party? So I borrowed a sleeping bag and I borrowed a tent. And then in 2018, in June, we did the Star Party together for the first time that PVA was there. So this group, the Star Party history is it started in 1990 with a fellow who went out there with his wife on their honeymoon, and he did astronomy as a hobby. So he had a telescope, and pretty soon he had a line, as happens when you have a telescope at a place like that. And so he thought that was a pretty cool thing to do. He was involved with an astronomy club. And so each year he'd have friends come. It got bigger and bigger. And they just kind of did a sort of a guerrilla event. It wasn't anything official, but people got to know where it was, and word of mouth, they would go to one of the overlooks and they'd show people the night sky. Well, initially the Park Service got to be not too excited about this because it was causing all sorts of traffic, and people were out there in an area and they didn't have good control over how many people were there. So rather than fight about it, they decided to get together. And so they began working with the Park Service, and this event then became sponsored and advertised and supported by the park. So this was the 34th year of that Star Party, aside from the fellow who did it for the very first time. He actually passed away in the last year, and he'd already been nominated for a volunteer service award with the Park Service for all the time he put into organizing the event. And he actually won the national award during the time that we were there. If you could see my picture in the background, that's what the Star Party looks like. So it's 8 nights altogether of people from around the country, mostly Arizona, because it's easy for those folks to travel. And the Tucson Club is crucial to organizing it. And they bring all their own personal equipment. So there's telescopes, there's binoculars, there's video recording, a lot of different things taking place. And so Lud and I did it together that first year. And then I think starting the next year, Ron and then Laura began joining. So we have had a few other PVA members join us out there. The event takes place in June, the week of the new moon after Memorial Day. So the idea is that people are on vacation, but it hasn't gotten too hot yet, hopefully. Next year, it's going to be June 21st to the 28th. And in exchange for putting on this event, we get free camping in one of the campsites, and we're all camping together. So you're hanging around other astronomers, and we can stay there starting the Friday night ahead, so you have a chance to settle in before it gets going. This year, there were 54 people volunteering to put the event on, and somebody kept track of the aperture. Apparently, the total aperture of scopes we had, which numbered 50 to 60 each night, was 936 inches or 23,865 millimeters. I didn't bother to check all that, but apparently that's the scoop. So it's a lot of fun. I've now been to 5 of them, and we get to know the people, the others who put it on, the others hanging out in the campground. You have the whole canyon to poke around in during the day. It's a lot of fun. They do some social events so people get to know each other. And I have an interesting tie-in that now you probably can't read this, but it's a PVAA business card. And when I came back through Claremont after the event, those of you who've been around for a while or lived in Pomona when we got our website, Pomona Valley Amateur Astronomers, the reason I couldn't get pvaa.com or .org is because another organization already had it, and that's Pomona Valley Art Association. I happened to swing by in Claremont, and I went to the other PVAA in Claremont, and they actually were founded before us. We founded in 1972, and they've been around since 1952. Obviously not with a website, but I had run into them before, and when I ran into them again, I thought that was a nice little item of history about our club name. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer, but we also have Laura there in person, so pass it off to her and tell you about her experience.
Okay.